Hi, it's Tash from Foxes and Brown Bears Tarot. Today I thought I'd do a VR to one of Simon's tags. It's quite an old tag, but I thought it was a really great way to introduce myself to everyone since I'm a fairly new channel. And so this is the sort of A to Z, like personal questions tag. All right, so beginning, A is for age. And I'm 41 years old. Favorite book? I've got two books I want to show you. Okay, so my all-time favorite book is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This book I first read as a teenager and I stayed up all night reading it in one sitting. And I have read it so many times since. It is perfect satire. It's hilarious. It's such a great commentary on society. So I absolutely love this book. Another book I really like, and I have to put in a non-fiction book, is The Disappearing Spoon by Sam Kean. And this is an excellent book about the discovery of the different elements in the periodic table of elements and some really cool stories about them. So the title of the book comes from a prank that chemistry students played at some point where they would fashion teaspoons out of gallium, which is a metal that looks like just any other silver metal, but it has a much lower melting point. And so it melts at about 30 degrees Celsius. So that would mean that then they'd make someone a cup of tea and then they'd hand them this gallium teaspoon. And when they'd go in to stir in their sugar and milk, the teaspoon would actually melt in the cup and freak everyone out. So that's really cool stories like that. They're really, really funny, really, really interesting. And if you're interested in science, highly recommend it. All right, so C is for career. So my dream career as a child was to be a doctor. I really just always loved science, loved biology, loved learning about the human body, and always wanted to do something that would help people. Didn't quite work out, but I ended up becoming a high school teacher, teaching history and English, a bit of geography, and I'm currently retraining to be a school counselor and psychologist. So really looking forward to that. Not quite medicine, but I'm really happy with my choice. My dream, my all-time dream, is to have enough money to travel all the time. I would love to have a couple overseas trips every year. Not at the moment, but that's the dream. I just love learning about new cultures. I love walking through new cities. I love seeing new landscapes. My favorite trip is to just get into a car and just drive and discover new places. Ultimate dream. E is for essential item. It's on a practical level, this has to be my contact lenses. I'm blind as a bat, and if I wear glasses for a couple days in a row, I get a really bad headache. And so my contact lenses are absolutely indispensable. But on another level, the internet. I cannot live without the internet. I have no idea how I lived without the internet. I grew up without it. And how did I manage? I do not know. And I'm so grateful that I have it. All right, favorite RWS deck. So I've picked sort of like a RWS clone, and my all-time favorite is the Dark Mansion. This is my soul deck. I almost cried when I first looked through it. It is the most beautiful deck. It just feels so luxurious, and it is just beautiful. I love the matte gold, and just the images are just so colorful and absolutely so beautiful. I just can't get enough of this deck. Look at that Hermit. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's the most beautiful deck I own. And so I'm so glad it's in my collection. All right. Then G is for gold or silver. Then C, very keen fan of silver. I don't actually like gold, mainly because it does give me a bit of a rash. If I wear gold rings, I kind of get a bit of a dark band on my fingers. And I really like the look of silver on me, so definitely silver. Height, I'm 160 centimeters, so not very tall at all. I is for ideal day, and my ideal day is a rainy day. I love rain. I love overcast days, and my dream would be to wake up and hear the rain outside, and get up, have a nice breakfast, a few coffees, and then sit in my armchair and read an excellent book. So something like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, or just something that just I can read all day. Although I probably wouldn't mind some cheese and crackers later on, perhaps with some friends, with a glass of wine. So that'd be really great. Perfect day. J is for joke. All right, now I do love humor. Not so great at telling actual jokes though, so let's give it a go. One of the jokes I used to tell my students all the time because it made me laugh was about two pigeons. And so you have a mother pigeon and a baby pigeon, and they're both flying along, and then the baby pigeon sort of says, "Oh, I'm getting so tired, Mum. I can't fly anymore." And the mum said, "No worries, what we'll do is we'll tie a string around you and I will tow you. So then you don't have to fly." And upon hearing this, the baby pigeon starts crying. The mother's like, "Oh no, why are you crying? I've just, I'm trying to help you out. What's wrong?" And the baby pigeon says, I just don't want to be pigeon-toed." So yeah, that's my joke. All right. See, I'm laughing. All right, K's for kids. I have no kids, never wanted kids. Although I love kids because I obviously have been a teacher. So L is for living arrangements. I currently live alone and love it. I love the peace and quiet. I love the freedom. I love being able to just do what I want when I want. And I can go like a week without turning the TV on and just have nice quiet. I can read books when I want. If I don't want to cook dinner, I don't have to cook dinner. It's fabulous. Favorite Marseille deck? I don't have one. I don't have any Marseille decks. The imagery just never appealed to me, and doesn't mean it won't in the future, but at this stage I have none. Nicknames for N. I mainly have two nicknames. So my name's Natasha, and I mostly call myself Tash. A number of people call me Tash, and some people call me Nat as well. I really don't mind. It's all the same. Okay, O is for Oracle, and my favorite Oracle are the medicine cards. So these are the medicine cards with animals on them. So they've got horrendous backs really, but I love these cards so much. They don't actually have any keywords, they just have the different animals. And so it's not that the images are particularly inspiring, but what I absolutely love about these cards is the book that comes with it. And for each animal, you have quite a lot of information. So you have a little like verse thing, you have a lot of information, you'll have generally a story about that animal, and you'll also have reverse meanings. Now, I don't use the actual reverse meanings a lot, but what I do is I draw one every day, and I feel like that's the animal energy that I need to embody that day to survive the day. And it has pretty much never steered me wrong. It is the most accurate deck I have. It's always empowering and always inspires me. However, another deck that's quickly growing on me as well is the Animal Allies by Jessica Swift. And I love, love, love these cards. I've been drawing one a day as well. Love the backs. And I just love the pictures. Her paintings are so beautiful. I just adore them. Look at the raccoon. Yeah, and there's not a lot of information provided. It's just a little fold out sheet of the meanings. But these meanings are just so good. And sometimes I'll do them at night. So it's kind of a nice energy to finish off the day with. And just really, really enjoying those cards. All right. So that's O. All right. P is about passionate. And I'm passionate about reading. I'm passionate about learning. I'm passionate particularly about reading science. I just love learning. I cannot pass it. So yeah. Quote for Q. All right, so now my favorite quote, a bit nerdy, and I am a nerd. And it's from The Lord of the Rings. So the first section, the Fellowship of the Ring. And it's when Frodo finds out that he's got to take this ring to Mordor potentially. And he says to Gandalf, I wish it need not have happened in my lifetime. Okay. And Gandalf replies, so do I, and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And I love that. It always, it gives me, I don't know, it just sparks my heart a bit. It's a very, very reassuring quote. And what I like about it is it reminds us that we cannot focus on factors that are outside of our control. We cannot control what happens in the world. We can't control some of the events that happen to us, but we can control how we react to them. We can control how we're going to think about them. We can control what we do with them. Okay, and I love that because it's accepting of what happens, but at the same time, it is so empowering. It's saying that we really do have so much control over our minds. And so, yeah, corny quote, but super deep. All right, R is for relationship status, and I am currently single and liking it. No real plans to change that at the moment. Season for S. My favorite season is winter. I love cold weather. I love wearing beanies. I love wearing scarves. I love wearing gloves. I love fur-lined boots. Don't even get a chance to wear that much in Australia. A little bit sad, but it's still my favorite season. And in fact, most of my European trips have been during the European winter just because I love that cold. All right, T is for tarot, surprise. And my first tarot was, I'll just grab it, was this old beauty, the Rider-Waite original, in this beautiful purple box. And pretty ordinary deck. So it's those backs. It's really not, I don't love it, but I will never, ever get rid of it because it was my first deck. It was the deck that I learnt on, and it was the deck that's, I don't know, it just has nostalgia. It has meaning for me. I occasionally look back on it for study. But yeah, that was my first deck. My last deck was actually very different, and that was the New Era Elements Tarot by Eleanor Piper, and as different as can be. This one's a very, very hard-hitting deck. So all kind of black and white, although it's got more of a sepia tone, really. This one is not really a Rider-Waite, although there are Rider-Waite Smith elements in it. But Just a very evocative deck, and I do really like this one. Oh, sorry. So yeah, there's but the hard-hitting cards like this one, heartbreaking, but love it. Another hard-hitting one. That one makes me so sad. Such an animal lover. But at the same time, you have really beautiful cards. Like the artwork on this is just amazing. And quite cross-cultural as well, which I really like about it. All right, so just put that one down. Got too many things on my lap. All right, U is for upset, and what makes me really upset is injustice. I don't know why, but I'm not a particularly angry person. People can be mean to me. I don't really get a rise from it. But the second I see injustice, particularly targeted at other people, I get so angry. And I have surprised people sometimes by just jumping to someone's defense, because I hate it when people are treated unfairly. It's just something that I cannot abide, and I cannot understand how people can do that. So yeah, that's what makes me upset. Weakness. Well, cheese. God, I love cheese. Cheese and wine is like the ultimate luxury in life. So that's key weakness. Another weakness though is I do have a very, very severe snake phobia, and that is actually quite debilitating, to the point where I won't buy decks that have snakes in them. I have thrown my phone across the room when I have happened to touch a picture of a snake on Facebook. Please don't post pictures of snakes on Facebook. I do not like it. So I really do need to confront that. It is difficult, particularly since I love animal decks, and I have to go through walkthroughs and make sure that the snake depicted is an okay one. Like if it looks cartoony, if it's multicolored, sometimes I can handle it. But the second it's a proper brown, black snake, and if you can see its head or if its mouth's open or anything like that, I just freak out. All right, X is for X-rated, and I'm going to give that one a miss. Just because, to be honest, my life's been pretty vanilla. And so what I'll do instead as a little bonus goodie is I'll tell you that my favorite X-Men character is Wolverine. Yes, I'm sure that appeases that one. All right, Y is for yesteryear, and this is like your favorite year. And my favorite year so far was 2016. And the reason for that is I had 2 fabulous trips that year. So I went to Scandinavia on my own for 4 weeks. And this is my first trip really completely solo. I didn't meet up with anyone. I wasn't on any tours at any point. I planned the whole thing on my own. I booked all my accommodation, and I just wandered on my own. And it was the most beautiful holiday ever. I loved it. I learned so much. I learned so much about Scandinavian culture. I enjoyed going through all the castles and all the Viking history, and it was just an awesome time that I'll always remember. Another trip I did that year was with my best friend, and we went to the US and hired a car, and we drove from LA to San Francisco and then to Las Vegas via Death Valley and Yosemite, and it was the most beautiful holiday. First of all, I loved those cities. San Francisco is so beautiful. Yosemite is just, I can't get my head around it. We went to the Grand Canyon, most gorgeous natural sight I've ever seen. I still can't quite intellectualize the size of the Grand Canyon. And occasionally I still pull out my photos, and the photos just don't do it justice. And it will be an image that will be in my mind forever. Las Vegas, funnest time ever, especially being a school teacher, where you're living in a place where there is no time. You eat when you want, you sleep when you want, you go sightseeing when you want. There's it is heaven. And of course I spent the whole time with my best friend, and so we just pretty much laughed the entire 2 weeks, and so best year ever. All right, and finally Z is for Zen. And this is for anything that you do to sort of relax or calm down. And I've got a few things. One of my most relaxing in the zone activities is building Lego. Told you I was a nerd. I just find that you forget everything else. You just put on some music, or you put on like a show that you've seen before, so you don't really have to focus. And you just build, and you just get into the zone, and it's so relaxing. Makes you forget about the real world. Another thing I do is meditate. So if I'm really upset, I really do need to just sit down and meditate, bring my heart rate down. And I will often meditate with animals in mind. And that's really, really comforting. I also, especially lately, and this has been a COVID-19 phenomenon, is I keep rewatching The Lord of the Rings. For some reason, it gives me comfort. I can guiltily say that I have watched the entire extended edition Lord of the Rings trilogy 7 times this year. That is 7 times 12 hours. That is a long time to invest in the same movie over and over and over again. But I love it. And I think part of it is the idea that no matter how bad life gets, I keep telling myself, at least I'm not Frodo. And with that nice inspiring idea in your minds, I will leave it there. I've really enjoyed speaking to you guys. Please let me know what you think of my videos. Please subscribe if you like them. And yeah, hope to see some other people do this tag at some point as well. Thank you. Bye.